In today's video, we're going through 5 game franchises that I think are in need of a revival. These franchises are long overdue for a sequel or new game, and I think we're all ready for these new games. So without further ado, the first franchise on our list is the OG car combat game itself, Twisted Metal. Although Twisted Metal wasn't the first vehicle combat game, it was definitely the defining game in the genre. Its creator David Jaffe and the devs over at Single Track Studio created a phenomenon with Twisted Metal in 1995. If you had a PlayStation back in the day, the odds are pretty high that you played a Twisted Metal game. I mean, there were 5 of those games just on that console alone. But unfortunately, the last Twisted Metal game we ever got was back in 2012 with a sort of a soft reboot of the series just titled Twisted Metal for the PlayStation 3. This game wasn't the most well-received game in the franchise. In a series that is known for its characters and their stories, this version only had 3 playable characters and stories, which disappointed longtime fans, me included. The multiplayer and gameplay as a whole felt as good as Twisted Metal ever had, but it wasn't enough to get games off the shelves. Ultimately, Twisted Metal 2012 failed commercially, and it was the last game that we received in the franchise. We did end up getting a revival in way of a TV show on Paramount Plus in 2023, starring Samoa Joe as Sweet Tooth and Anthony Mackie as John Doe. It was a fun watch, but definitely leaning towards Twisted Metal's fun and wacky side rather than its more popular dark and grim side. But I think we the gamers are ready for a new Twisted Metal. To be honest, I think a live service model might actually work for a new TM. But that's a conversation for a whole nother video. Sony, just give us a new Twisted Metal.
X. Danger. All the bases are on.
西暦 2100WX 年レプリロイドたちの反乱が始まった。もう一人のヒーローロックマン X スーパーファミコンで新登場。君はまだ X を知らない。
Capcom.
The next franchise on the list is another PlayStation 1 veteran, and that is Mega Man X. No, not regular old Mega Man. We got Mega Man 11 in 2018, which definitely needs a follow-up as well, but we are talking about Mega Man's cooler, older brother, Mega Man X. The Mega Man X franchise has a special place in my heart. I grew up playing these games, and I always go back to play X4 at least once a year. But the last X game we got was in 2005 with Maverick Hunter X for the PSP, and that was just a remake of the original. We do not count X Collections, and we definitely do not count Mega Man X Dive. We never count mobile games. Anyways, we are long overdue for a Mega Man X9, or at least a reboot. Sometimes I feel like Capcom hates their Blue Bomber, and more importantly, Capcom probably hates us. I do believe that most big game studios are afraid to make 2D side-scrolling games nowadays, but imagine if the new Mega Man X game looked like an Arc System Works game. If it looked like a Guilty Gear Strive or Dragon Ball FighterZ did, an anime-style Mega Man X game would be such a banger. But as of right now, there seems to be no plans to bring back the X series. We can only hope for a revival. Please, Capcom, just take my money. And to stay on the topic of Capcom hating me, the next franchise that desperately needs a revival is Darkstalkers.
Preparing to strike. And now we have returned to rule the night. Let's play.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if most of you have never heard of this franchise, but I definitely know most of you recognize this character. That's right, our favorite succubus Morrigan, which you probably recognize from literally everywhere else. She originally comes from the Darkstalkers series, a cartoony fighting game with characters based off international folklore like mummies, vampires, and werewolves. Darkstalkers never really garnered the popularity of other Capcom fighting games did, like Street Fighter and the Marvel vs. Capcom series, but it definitely gained a cult following over time, with the 3rd game in the franchise, Vampire Savior, being regarded as the best one, and tournaments still being held online to this day. With Vampire Savior being released in 1997, we have never received a new Darkstalker game, but we have received countless collections and ports, most recently in the Capcom Fighting Collection in 2022. It seems we are always being teased with this possible return of Darkstalkers, with Capcom higher-ups casually name dropping the franchise every now and then during interviews or news about a revival that really never truly goes anywhere. With fighting games continuing to have a resurgence in popularity lately, I do think it is very possible and in the realm of possibilities to get a new Darkstalkers game. And for one, I would love to experience a brand new Darkstalker game, as it's a franchise that is before my time. The fourth franchise that I want to talk about is Turok. Killing dinosaurs on the Nintendo 64 is what Turok is known for. The original trilogy on the N64 are great games, and unfortunately I wasn't able to play them back in their glory days, but fortunately have been able to play them thanks to the trilogy bundle on the Nintendo Switch. The last Turok game we received was a reboot of the franchise in 2008 named Turok, which was not the most well received game in the franchise, but it was definitely a product of its time. We did receive a puzzle Turok game that came out in Steam a few years ago, but that got delisted after a year or two, so I do not count that game. I can imagine a new Turok game receiving the Doom 2016 and Eternal treatment, as Turok always kind of felt similar to Doom games in some gameplay aspects with the fast-paced first-person shooting action. I personally like the darker, character-driven narrative the reboot was trying to tell in its campaign. And so I hope if they do make a remake, it would go something similar to that. And if you like dinosaurs and feeling like a badass killing said dinosaurs, and you haven't played any Turok games, I'd definitely give them a try if I were you. In the meantime, I'll be waiting for its overdue revival. The last franchise that desperately needs a revival is from Rockstar Games. And Rockstar alone has a plethora of franchises that have been ignored. They have Bully, they have Max Payne, Manhunt, I can go on, that is a video for another day. But I'm talking about Midnight Club. What I would do for a new Midnight Club game. Imagine how popular a new one would be. Look at the success of something like Forza Horizon. There is a market for these open world multiplayer racing games. The customization that Midnight Club games had were always amazing and always blew my mind. Midnight Club games are a little more arcadey than the Forza games, and that's what I personally love. They are so much fun to play with friends. The last Midnight Club game that we got was Midnight Club Los Angeles back in 2008, which my mother bought me at Kohl's when I was 13. Why Rockstar hasn't done anything for this franchise is a mystery to me. This game would sell itself, I guarantee you. But who am I kidding? We haven't even gotten GTA 6 yet, and it's been 11 years. All we can do is hope. Well, those are my 5 games that I think need a revival. Please let me know if I missed any of your favorites. Leave it in the comments below. What game do you think needs a revival? What game needs a sequel or a new game here in 2024 or 2025? Leave it in the comments below. Thank you guys for giving me a little bit of your time, and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you on the next one.